Well, it was very profound. I don't know if you've seen Katy Perry talk about it, but she's basically a guru now.
Yeah.
Is math related to science?
Math is the language of the universe.
On April 14th, 2025, the world watched as Blue Origin's NS-31 mission carried 6 celebrity passengers, including Katy Perry, Gayle King, and Lauren Sánchez, on an 11-minute trip to the edge of space. When the capsule returned to Earth, Katy Perry dramatically kissed the ground and delivered tearful remarks about feeling forever changed.
For me, I brought a daisy because I have so much love for my daughter Daisy, and I have so much love for Mother Earth.
But not everyone was buying it. In fact, even Joe Rogan mocked Perry's performance, calling it cringey and comparing the whole thing to a roller coaster ride being dressed up as history.
To going up, you said that you needed to go to space to heal. I know you're only a few minutes removed from this.
I feel super connected to love.
Goodness. I will never be the same.
From overblown reactions to celebrity roasts, this so-called historic mission has quickly become one of the most controversial publicity stunts of the year. Stick around, because the backlash only gets messier from here. The historic flight. Blue Origin branded this event as a once-in-a-lifetime milestone, the first all-female celebrity crew to launch into space. On paper, it sounded groundbreaking, an achievement framed as inspirational for women across the globe. The participants included Katy Perry, Gayle King, Lauren Sánchez, and other high-profile figures, chosen not for their scientific expertise, but for their star power. The rocket itself, New Shepard, was a fully automated craft, meaning the crew had virtually no control over its operation. From liftoff to landing, everything was remotely managed by professionals on the ground.
None of the people in this capsule could actually operate anything. It was all being remotely controlled.
Despite this, the launch was wrapped in grand speeches, heavy media coverage, and emotional commentary, as if these women had ventured into the unknown with the same risks faced by true pioneers. Supporters claimed it was a moment of empowerment, but critics argued that packaging a luxury space tour as a breakthrough for womankind was misleading. The flight lasted just 11 minutes, barely enough time to leave the atmosphere, experience a few minutes of weightlessness, and return to Earth. Yet the narrative around it suggested it was equal to historic missions like Apollo or the Space Shuttle era. The contrast between the hype and the actual achievement became one of the central points of debate, sparking immediate backlash. Katy Perry's cringe moment. Among all the participants, Katy Perry drew the most attention, and not for the reasons she might have hoped. As soon as she stepped off the capsule, she knelt down and kissed the desert floor, an act that was instantly ridiculed online. Viewers compared it to a scene from a movie rather than a genuine moment of gratitude. What made it worse was her follow-up speech, where she described feeling forever connected to love and goodness, almost as though her brief trip had unlocked some cosmic wisdom.
Flowers for me, I brought a daisy because I have so much love for my daughter Daisy, and I have so much love. I hope they can see the unity that we modeled and replicate that and understand that we weren't just taking up space, we were making space.
While some fans applauded her sincerity, many felt it was overly dramatic, especially given that the flight was automated and relatively safe. This is where Joe Rogan entered the conversation. On his podcast, he openly mocked Perry's theatrics, saying the trip was essentially a roller coaster ride, being dressed up as a spiritual journey. He questioned how an 11-minute flight could suddenly turn someone into a self-proclaimed guru, and his take resonated with millions who saw the entire spectacle as staged.
She essentially took a roller coaster ride.
Well, it was very profound. I don't know if you've seen Katy Perry talk about it, but she's basically a guru.
11-minute space flight that was touted as some kind of divine feminine gift to humanity.
Social media lit up with memes comparing her to explorers of the past, joking that she was acting like she'd survived a harrowing mission when in reality, she'd been on what many called the world's most expensive amusement ride. The combination of Perry's emotional display and Rogan's high-profile criticism pushed the story into the mainstream, cementing her moment as the face of what people saw as a space tourism farce, Oprah and the media overdrive. While the flight itself lasted less than a lunch break, the media coverage stretched for days, amplifying the narrative that this was a historic leap for women. Oprah Winfrey, was among the loudest voices cheering it on. Cameras captured her visibly emotional as she praised the launch, with tears in her eyes as though she had just witnessed humanity's greatest triumph. Networks replayed her reaction endlessly, framing the trip as something that deserved reverence and admiration. Headlines described it as a divine, feminine breakthrough and a gift to the next generation. But this exaggerated reaction quickly backfired. Critics argued that by equating a billionaire-funded joyride with the sacrifices of real astronauts, media outlets were trivializing decades of groundbreaking work. Female astronauts like Valentina Tereshkova, Sally Ride, and Peggy Whitson risked their lives, endured extreme training, and contributed to science in ways that changed history. To put Katy Perry and her celebrity peers in the same conversation was viewed as an insult to their legacy. Instead of celebrating authentic pioneers, the coverage shifted the spotlight to entertainers who had essentially purchased, or been gifted, a brief seat in space. The over-the-top glorification highlighted just how much the event was being sold as a spectacle rather than respected as true achievement. Gayle King's outburst. If Oprah's emotional reaction fueled the hype, Gayle King's fiery defense poured gasoline on the backlash. After returning from space, she insisted that the trip must not be dismissed as a mere ride. In interviews, she scolded viewers and reporters, demanding that it be recognized as a journey and a flight worthy of respect.
I've had so many people reach out to me and say, because you did it, it makes me think I can do it too.
Her tone was stern, as if anyone who disagreed was undermining progress for women. Clips of her lectures went viral across platforms, but instead of earning admiration, they sparked waves of ridicule. The public found her reaction tone deaf, especially given the circumstances. Millions of people are struggling with everyday expenses, and here was a celebrity lecturing them about respecting an 11-minute trip that cost more than most will ever make in a lifetime.
Please don't call it a ride. That is not a friggin' ride. Whenever a man goes up, no one called that a ride, because a ride implies that it's something frivolous.
To make matters worse, King framed the experience as inspirational for young girls, insisting it proved what women could achieve. Critics countered that this message rang hollow, since the opportunity had nothing to do with merit and everything to do with wealth and connections. Joe Rogan even chimed in on this point, arguing that it was insulting to call it groundbreaking when real women had been blazing trails in space for decades without fanfare. Gayle's attempt to demand respect for the mission ended up doing the opposite, cementing the perception that this was less about empowerment and more about ego. The celebrity roast, the backlash, didn't just come from the public. Hollywood itself turned on the mission. That's rare, because celebrities usually protect each other, but this time, the spectacle was too easy to mock. Olivia Wilde reposted Katy Perry's dramatic ground-kissing photo, sarcastically comparing it to astronauts returning from Apollo 13. The message was clear. Perry was playing dress-up as a hero when all she'd done was ride a billionaire's rocket for a few minutes. Amy Schumer joined in with her trademark humor, joking that she had been added to the crew at the last minute as if it were an open mic night rather than a space launch. She made light of the entire mission by pretending it was as casual as hopping on the subway. Even Martha Stewart couldn't resist. She pulled up footage from her own zero-gravity flight years earlier, where she experienced weightlessness without leaving Earth's atmosphere. In a subtle but brutal move, she paired it with a Katy Perry lyric, turning her post into a sly jab that highlighted just how unimpressive the Blue Origin mission was in comparison. When even your industry peers are trolling you, the damage is deeper than anything a Twitter meme could do. It showed that this wasn't just the public being cynical, it was the entertainment world openly rejecting the attempt to brand an 11-minute luxury ride as a turning point in history. Social media meltdown.
Had I been one of the chosen few revolutionary women, I probably would have just jumped out and let the void of space either suck me in and destroy me.
Gayle King, upset, had a few things that she needed to explain to those of us who don't understand what a hero she is.
If celebrity roasting wasn't enough, the internet took the mission apart piece by piece. Memes flooded platforms within minutes of the landing. Users compared the capsule to a theme park ride, mocking the idea that it required bravery. Screenshots of Katy Perry kissing the ground went viral, captioned with jokes about surviving a deadly roller coaster. Others pointed out the absurd timing, while ordinary people were struggling to buy basic groceries. Millionaires were flaunting their ability to take the most expensive joyride ever created. The contrast made the trip feel out of touch, almost dystopian. But the mockery wasn't just about money. Many questioned the constant talk of empowerment. Posts ridiculed the idea that young women would be inspired by something unattainable for anyone without billionaire connections. Some even joked that the only thing orbiting in space that day was the crew's egos. Joe Rogan's commentary fed into this wave as fans clipped his podcast segments and shared them alongside memes, amplifying the criticism far beyond his own audience. Instead of silencing the backlash, the crew's attempts to defend themselves, especially Gayle King's angry lectures, became new material for social media ridicule. In the end, the internet turned what was supposed to be a polished PR win into one of the most ridiculed celebrity moments of the year. The question of real astronauts. As the dust settled, one question dominated the debate. What does it actually mean to be an astronaut anymore? For decades, the title carried weight. It represented years of training, scientific excellence, and the willingness to risk your life to push human knowledge further. Astronauts like Yuri Gagarin, Neil Armstrong, Sally Ride, and Peggy Whitson endured grueling simulations, survived near-death experiences, and made discoveries that changed our understanding of space forever. By contrast, the Blue Origin crew's training lasted just 2 days, and it mainly involved buckling seatbelts and practicing how to climb in and out of the capsule. The spacecraft was entirely remote-controlled, so the participants didn't even need to press a button. Yet when they returned, they called themselves explorers, posing in designer suits and talking about their courage. Critics pounced on the irony. How could you claim to be breaking barriers when the capsule could have carried anyone with the right connections? Joe Rogan hammered this point on his show, pointing out that if the capsule had required real piloting, the crew wouldn't have been able to operate it. His blunt take resonated with people who felt the title of astronaut was being cheapened. For many, the real insult wasn't just the spectacle itself, but the way it seemed to erase the blood, sweat, and sacrifice of genuine pioneers. Instead of honoring those who risked everything, the spotlight was handed to celebrities whose main contribution was posting a selfie from orbit. Space tourism or vanity project? Let's be real, this wasn't about advancing space exploration, it was about status. The seats weren't given to scientists or students, they went to celebrities with billionaire connections. The mission was promoted as empowerment, but critics saw it for what it was: a luxury trip repackaged as history. Joe Rogan summed it up perfectly when he called it a billionaire's amusement ride, a show that looked more like PR than progress. And the irony? The very people claiming they were breaking barriers were actually reinforcing them, showing once again that access to space is less about talent and more about who you know. Instead of a leap forward, it felt like a step backward disguised with glitter and hashtags. The message that ordinary women could do the same rang hollow, because no one outside the billionaire bubble could ever access this kind of opportunity. In the end, it wasn't about inspiring the next generation, it was about keeping the spotlight firmly on themselves. So what did we really witness on April 14th, 2025? Was it a triumph for women in space? Or was it the most expensive photo op in history? From Katy Perry kissing the ground like she'd just returned from Mars, to Gayle King scolding critics, to Oprah tearing up on live TV, this mission had all the drama of a reality show wrapped in the branding of a historic milestone. And when even fellow celebrities like Olivia Wilde, Martha Stewart, and Amy Schumer are openly mocking you, you know the message didn't land the way it was intended. What's more telling is how quickly the narrative collapsed. Instead of inspiring millions, it exposed the divide between real explorers who earn the title of astronaut and celebrities who simply step into a capsule and call themselves pioneers. The public saw through it instantly. The internet turned their empowerment into memes, and Joe Rogan's blunt take that it was basically a billionaire amusement ride ended up defining the conversation. At the end of the day, history won't remember this mission for breaking barriers. It will remember it as the moment space travel became the ultimate PR stunt. And maybe, just maybe, that's the lesson. If you want to inspire the world, you can't fake history. You have to make it.